Hi, I'm Geo-Institute Director Brad Keelor. The fact that you're seeing me all by myself at the start of the episode means that it's time again for a special Director's Cut message. And that in turn must mean that we're near a milestone episode and that there's a contest happening. Both of those things are correct. Episode 150 of Director's Cut is coming up at the end of November, and we are thrilled to have geolegend Ed Idris of UC Davis as our guest. Just as we did for episode 100 with Jim Mitchell, we're running a contest to have the viewers, you, ask Ed a question. It can be anything about his life and career. Submit your questions at the link in the show notes below where you're watching this now, and we'll announce a winner during the 150th episode on November 29th. The winner will receive 1 year of ASCE membership for free, either as a new membership or as a renewal. Good luck, and we're all looking forward to the 150th episode. But first, make sure to enjoy this week's show. Thanks for watching. I am Brad Keelor. She is Inthuorn Sasanakul. Next on Director's Cut, we're going to talk centrifuges, but you're also going to find out why Thai names are so long.
I've been sleeping with fishes. She's been doing the dishes. Surfs up on the oil spill. It's a black night on the water.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I'm the director of the Geo-Institute, and that is why we call this show Director's Cut. Every single week, except during the summer and 1 week at the holidays, I sit down with a different GI member who has so many stories to tell. Some of them are personal, some are professional, but all of them are fun every time. If you don't know anything about the Geo-Institute, after you watch this interview today, head over to geoinstitute.org. While you are there learning everything that you can possibly learn about our society, you will find out that we are a technical society with about 12,000 members, most of whom are geotechnical engineers and or geologists, and that we are part of the American Society of Civil Engineers. If you like what you see today, viewers, and you always will, you should click like, subscribe, get notifications, and we will let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel. With all of that out of the way, we get to our guest this week, who has, I think, like one of the nicest backgrounds that we've had on the show in a very long time. And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit as we go on here. From the University of South Carolina, where she is a faculty member, it's Inthuorn Sasanakul. See, I wanted to get the accent right there. Inthuorn, thank you for doing this. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
We've got 10 questions, the same way as we do every week, and 2 of those are the same that we ask everybody. We start with one of them. Describe your job in 45 seconds.
Okay, well, I'll do my best to keep it in the 45 seconds. Brad, you probably interviewed so many faculty members, right? And they're all going to tell you 3 things.
Oh, go.
Research, teaching, service.
Yeah!
I just want to get it out of the way and tell you that, yes, I have to do all of that. But the highlights of my job is in teaching. Because, for example, in classrooms, I will have students who have nothing to do with geotechnical engineering, have no idea what it's all about. But then halfway through the class, he or she's become very, very interested and fallen in love with dirt and wanted to know more about geotechnical engineering. And that's really rewarding. I think it's tangible, right? Because we all play with dirts and get dirties, but the students are not necessarily know what is this all about, and now they learn more in my class. So the teaching is not only just in the classrooms, also for research. And I feel like research and teaching kind of go together, because I have to somewhat teachings as mentoring my graduate student. So when they do research, they learn about how to solve one little problems or few problems, but along those way, they do have to learn how to do research. So that's part of me teachings, getting to teach them how to do all of that and work with them. And that's really, really rewarding to me. It's highlight of my job. And when they go on and finish, their degree and they go on and work as a geotechnical engineer or become a researchers, they really become independent. They become independent researchers, or they become really, really excited about geotechnical engineering. And that's kind of bring it back to the loop of research, teachings, and service, because that's motivated me to become a better professor, I would say, because that's going back to I have to do all of that so that I can become a good professor and keep going with things that inspire me, inspire them, and making them become a good geotechnical engineer.
So for the follow-up question there, you said something that I don't think about very much, but I know I went through this when I got into grad school, learning to do research. It's hard. And sometimes there are parts of it that you just don't get. For you, how do you go about it? I know it's obviously different for every student, but are there things that you do for everybody to try to teach them how to do research?
I think I need to actually adjust for a different student. Okay, different students have their own skill, ability, and interest differently. So I usually just ask them what they're interested in and what they're good at it. Some students are really like hands-on. They really enjoy going in the lab and play with dirt. Some students really like analyzing data. They're really analytical. So I kind of try to pull something that they're good at and do the research in a way that have them do things that they like. And that make it better because they do something that they enjoy. And I also have them learn how to kind of going through the literature review and read about research a little bit, and we talk about it.
That was what always got me. I was so bad at literature reviews.
And that is challenging for a lot of students. That is to read the paper and do literature reviews, and that's why I'm here to help them. And they all made it through.
Well, that's the thing too, and you show them that there is light at the other end, and they're gonna make it through something.
Well, they have to have motivation to begin with. Everybody have to be motivated to do this, right? If they do it, I encourage them to say to think that, hey, you can do this. It's all about confidence. A lot of students worry about research. It's just really scary because I don't know what it's all about. Doing research is it's just scary, but I really think everybody can do it. They just need to be confident and motivated.
Oh, I like that. That was a good answer. That's perfect. So we get to some super hard-hitting questions here on Director's Cut, and we're going to start with one of those now. What happens to you in the morning that usually means it's going to be a rough day?
My rough day starts the night before, actually. So the grad student, usually they work in the evening, and they would call me or text me.
There you go.
And say something's not right in the lab. Something didn't go well, or something is wrong, or So I'm like, okay, what is it? So that's usually happened the night before. And then, but you have to relax. I told them, relax. Every problem can be solved. So you're kind of switching the mode to become problem-solving mode now. Like, what is the problem? And the next day would be a lot of troubleshooting, figured out what is wrong. And, in physical modeling, especially in centrifuge modeling, we're spinning the box of dirt around for 100 miles per hour. It's something. Sometimes things are not going as planned, but they all have a way to, if there's a problem, we can always solve it. We just need to relax and think about what is the problems and try to solve one step at a time. I really enjoy turning my student into more thinker, problem solver. So yeah, we made it through a rough day, but that's my rough day.
And that's a great answer because it leads us right into the next question. You brought up centrifuge. You do a lot of centrifuge modeling. I think if people have watched every episode of the show, they know I love nothing more than a good centrifuge story. And in talking before the interview, you now know my love of the centrifuge. So for you, Inthuorn, what is your centrifuge research? What are you working on?
So I've been working on several geotechnical problems, but the one that I'm going to talk to you about is related to my waste. So we want to try to understand these materials better, especially in the seismic, loading under seismic conditions. So the mine waste has, a wide variety of materials. It can be tailings, fine-grained tailings, it could be waste rocks. So lately we have been working on waste rock, and the waste rock it's like gravel. It have big particle and gravels mixture with sand and maybe some fine contents. And we don't really have a whole lot of data right now with that because, to run tests with gravel as a big size particle, you really need to have a big dynamic testing device. So we make good use of our centrifuge. So we put the gravels in the centrifuge and we spin and we simulate different field conditions. And we use our shake table to apply dynamic load. And we learn about, dynamic response of these materials. And we're also looking at liquefactions of this mine waste. And it's still ongoing. We have a few papers published, but I'm excited to learn more about it. Hopefully, these findings that we found here will be useful for a geotechnical engineering community.
And your centrifuge has a fascinating story that we talked a little bit about before we started here. Can you tell us the 2 stops that your centrifuge made before it came to the University of South Carolina?
Yeah, our centrifuge was donated from University of Maryland, which is Dr. Deborah Goodings is the one that uses centrifuge for many, many years for her research. A lot of you probably have heard about that, her research, right? And then before that, I was told that the centrifuge was donated by NASA. So it was using for NASA for a while.
And that is amazing. And so here's my pitch. As a resident of the Washington, D.C. area, if people out there have never been to NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in suburban D.C., it's in Maryland, you must go and you must see the centrifuges. So this one, I'm going to figure it out where it came from because I'm sure they have smaller ones somewhere there now, but the main centrifuge is enormous. So I'm going to do a little detective work and find out where this came from and how it left the clutches of the United States government and ended up in the academic world. This is pretty cool. Thanks for telling that story. So as we sit here, it's 2023. And one thing I always thought about was, especially for my great grandparents who were born right around the turn of the 20th century and lived through most of it, things changed radically during their lives. Radio, TV, even the internet for a few people who lived to be a lot older. I think you and I are about the same age, Inthuorn, and I'm starting to get to the age where I think, wow, this is amazing. I never thought that I would have this in my life. What exists today for you that you never would have dreamed of as a kid?
A cell phone. I mean, when I was a kid, cell phone, it's like, it rarely exists, especially I grew up in Thailand. And now this day, you can see all these computing powers on the cell phone itself, as well as its camera. Quality of the cameras that come from the cell phones. It's actually fascinating. It's blown my mind how good the camera's quality is this day. And it's actually helped me, to be honest. We talk about centrifuge problems, or we run into problem in the lab and things like that. Student will just at 7 p.m. they will send me a video of what happened. Yeah. And I can determine by watching the video, okay, is it serious or not serious, or is okay. It's actually helped me spend more time with my family instead of us going to the lab somehow, because I get to communicate with students that way. So I'm really thankful for that.
And that's a good point. 20 years ago, even, you would have had to get in the car and drive down there, and there goes your night. Wow, So that's pretty handy. I saw a video the other day on Twitter of somebody seeing a camera phone for the first time in 2001 or 2002, and they're flipping it around and trying to figure out how the thing worked. And it's really incredible that in the span of 20 years we've gone from something basically not existing to making cameras like a real standalone camera is like a specialty thing now. No one has it. So
That's right.
that's a good one. I like that. Again, for anybody who watches a lot of Director's Cut, you know that it comes down to music, sports, and food. It's time for us to talk about some food. And we're going to talk about Thai food. And specifically, Inthuorn, I want to know from you, what have Thai restaurants in the US changed about Thai food, either for the better or for worse?
Okay, now I have a few things I wanted to tell you. First thing is, if you go to the most Thai restaurant, I think they add more sugars than normal Thai foods that you would find in Thailand. So it's kind of more sweet, and that's not the same, right? That's one thing. I don't know if American like more sweet food. I'm not sure, but they're trying to tune that into more sweet kind of food. The other thing is also they also substitute meat or some vegetable that with, the Thai vegetable or Asian vegetable with something else that you might find it in the grocery store, like carrots or green peppers and things that was easy to find. Although I can understand why they have to substitute it, but it actually changed the flavors and the taste of the dish completely. That's like, I'm not sure. Like, I eat some of the stuff like this stuff never have bell peppers in there, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. And the other thing is, the choice is very limited. They always have the basic dishes. Everybody will go, okay, I'll have pad thai. Do I know about pad thai? Because it's so common. So there's more varieties of Thai food and in the Thai cuisine out there that I would like to encourage everybody to explore. And the best way to go about that is to go with a bunch of people. We go as a group and order a bunch of different dishes and share, because Thai food is more about eating rice with different other dishes. So if you go with a friend, you can order 5 different things and then you can share. And that means you can actually try something new.
So if you were going to give somebody a recommendation of a specific dish to try to make them a little more adventurous, what would it be?
I love all kinds of Thai salad. So I'm not sure if you ever tried like beef salads or noodle salads or, I don't know, all kinds of Thai salad. It's tend to be spicy, I have to warn you, but the salad is great. It's my favorite.
So another thing I've noticed, at least around here in the DC area, is that Thai restaurants now are kind of divided up by the region of the country, the different parts of Thailand where the cooking is a little different. Like you just mentioned the salads. We have a place near us that's their specialty, and that's almost all they serve is all these different kinds of Thai and Lao salads. What region of Thai cooking should people experience that maybe they haven't tried before?
The South. If you go to the South, food will tend to be more flavorful and more spicy, and it have different ingredients that it's probably not very common to find it here in a restaurant here in the US though. But there are some curries that is completely different than green curry or Penang curry that you might have seen in the Thai restaurant here. The South will have a different type of curries and different type of spice that I would encourage you to try to see if you can find that in your Thai restaurant. Or you should go to Thailand.
Well, that's the easy solution, right? I guess unless you live in like LA or I guess here too, DC, you've got enough choices, but go to Thailand. I think that's the best recommendation. Whew. So the other question that we ask everybody when they come on the show is, how did you first get involved with ASCE and then GI?
Well, I've been a bit member since I was a PhD student, and that was a long time ago. I refuse to say how long. I know you said you and I are the same age. It was a long time ago, and then I become a member after I graduated. I went to the conference. I have been going to the conference, and then joined the committee meetings. I'm in the earthquake and soil dynamics, and also the erosions committee. I enjoy working with those colleagues, learn from them, talk to them, help them with the conference organizations. Since I live in South Carolina, I'm also part of a Geo Carolinas conference organizer. So we have been having Geo Carolinas for several years now, and it's been very successful. Me and Ron Andrews, we're organizing the student activities for the Geo Carolinas conference. And next year we will have Geo Carolinas in February.
About 2 weeks before Geo-Congress, I think. So if anybody is interested in heading down to Charlotte for that, you can make the trip and then go home and then head out to Vancouver. And we'll make sure we put some information on the Geo-Carolinas conference down in the show notes below where you are watching this video now so that everybody can make the trip. It's a great event. We have another question about Thailand, and this is one that we teased at the beginning, and it's a question I've wondered for a long time, but have never managed to ask anybody. Can you explain why Thai names are often so long?
Okay, first, for your information, my name is relatively short.
Right. But by American standards, it's pretty long still.
That's right. And we don't typically have a middle name either. We just have first name and last name, right? And yes, some Thai name can be very long, first name and last name. But because the names usually combine different words, and each word has a meaning. So parents will try to come up with a name that's meaningful for their children. So they put all these words together into one name. So it's become really long. For example, your name is Brad, and that's one word, and it's mean Brad. I'm not sure if there's some other meaning, but my name is Inthuorn. It comes from two words. It's come from the word into, it's mean moon, and on means lady. So my name is mean moon lady. So next time when you meet someone with a long Thai name, you should ask them what that means. Maybe you'll be surprised.
I think that's one of the things that's really cool about it. I mean, from talking to you about it, it sounds like most people there would also know the meaning of their name. I think for us, in North America at least, the words that my name came from probably haven't been used for 600-800 years. They've changed throughout time. I don't really know what my name was supposed to mean. So how common is that in Thailand? Do most people know exactly what their name means?
Yes, I would say most people would know. Otherwise, it's just common, like to parents to name their children something really good, really meaningful. So
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We also talked a little bit about nicknames before we started here, and this is the case I think in a lot of Southeast Asia, but it's true in Thailand. It sounds like nicknames are common, and they often don't have anything to do with the person's given name. So can you explain the nickname process?
The nickname is just a short of a long name, and it could be very random. It can mean colors, foods, or even animals or flowers and things. It can be anything that your parents just feel like calling you. I was telling you that sometime, like if you have your first child, and it could be named really, really long name in Thai, but they might call him Nung. Nung mean one, because there's a first child and it's short Nung. We just call him Nung instead of whatever other name that they have. So it's really just a short name that used just between families and close friends and things like that.
That is fantastic. I feel like we always learn a lot on Director's Cut, but we've really learned a lot today. This is really good. We've got 3 questions left, and I had to put one in here about natural disaster research. This is always one that I try to ask whenever somebody is doing a lot of hazards or disaster work. For you, Inthuorn, what disaster policy would you love to see changed as a result of your research?
I think the policy related to that would be preventions. That do something better in terms of design or better understandings of what you design or like for me, I try to understand better of the materials like my waste. If we don't understand how they would behave, we won't be able to do a good design. So that's what I think my research contributed to that part of preventions of any disasters. And in South Carolina, we have almost everything, Brad. We have tornado,
Yeah.
hurricane, flood. We have earthquake as well. So we have to do better on preventing those disasters through a better design of civil infrastructures. But I also hope that my research will help contribute to the education and awareness of the disaster. So make people become more aware of what's going to happen if that's
Well, I
happening.
wanted to ask you specifically about that education component too, because I feel like in the Southeast, but specifically in South Carolina, it is challenging because even though there's obviously a long history of very intense seismic activity there, but there hasn't been a big earthquake there in well over 100 years. How do you communicate that risk to people who might be very dismissive of it and say, well, hasn't happened in 120 years or 140 years. It's probably not going to happen again.
Yeah, that's challenging. And even though we don't have that big earthquake, but we do have some small earthquake once in a while. Not as often as California, but we do. When we have a like earthquake magnitude 3 or 4, that's considered pretty,
Mhm.
pretty big for here because you can really feel it. It become I would say exciting, but people become like more aware of what's okay. Well, there could be an earthquake here. It just happened. Recently, we also has formed the Earthquake Engineering Research EERI Carolina chapters, and that is something that we're gonna have. Objective of that is just to increase the awareness, and we're gonna get together and do more of those improving awareness and educated people about what's hazard that we have, especially earthquake in South Carolina.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a big job and that outreach needs to happen. So that sounds really good. You spent, I guess, almost the first 10 years of your teaching research career at RPI in New York. And earlier this year, we sadly lost Tom Zimmy, legend, not just at RPI, but in the whole geotech community. So I wanted to ask you, what did it mean to you to have your first faculty job with Tom and be a colleague? And then do you have any stories about Tom you wanted to share?
Tom is he was very friendly and was very welcoming for me as my first job out of the, got PhD and start my job and have him as a colleague. It's just so nice. And his office is next door to my office. It was next door to me. And he was always either come to my office and tell me about something and get a laugh. I get a laugh at it. Or I walk by his office and, I told you he will have this traffic light, red, yellow, green, turning on. And he was just so friendly, and he would just always have a stories to tell me about things. So it just make it is so like so good, As you know, in academy, things can be very busy, competitive, and people kind of work on their own thing. But it's important to have a really good environment and work environment with the colleagues, and he helped me through that, and I'm very thankful. Um, so story about Tom. There are many story actually. Some I don't think I should tell you, but I'll tell you one story. He loved flying. I don't know if you know it. It's his hobby. He flies airplane. He flew his airplane. And he would just tell story about how fun it was to be flying airplane and things like that. And one time he told me that he took a grad student to fly with him, and the plane was crashed. They were crashed. And isn't it, they amazingly they survived. Obviously, they didn't have a serious injuries, but he was telling stories about how he got made out of that crash with the grad student. And he makes it so funny, he got through this thing, he walked out of the plane, all the detail make it so funny. But I would imagine that grad student would have been so scared. But yeah, it's just a great story. But then after that, I was like, I'm never gonna go fly with him. I was never gonna fly with him.
That's all it took is just that one story, and you were done. I like that. I had to ask a question too about South Carolina. We really haven't asked a specific one, and I think for anybody who's not from the Southeast, fall is a little bit different than it is. I'm from Michigan, and you have these like crisp days, and it starts to cool down in like early September, and the frost comes, and sometimes it would snow by like this time of year. That does not happen in the Southeast for people who have not been. It was 85 degrees at my house yesterday, and I would imagine you're going through the same thing down there in South Carolina. What do you love the most about fall in South Carolina?
Okay, first of all, falls here is like it's kind of still like summer with pumpkins and all those things. We still wear short in the afternoons, but the things though, living in Columbia, where the University of South Carolina is actually a very good location. You could drive a few hours to the north to Smoky Mountain or the borders, of South Carolina, North Carolina, and see the leaves. There's beautiful leaves, foliage there, and you can go stay in the mountain and experience the falls, in the area where you can see all these leaves and stuff. But at the same time, you could drive down to the beach and again, enjoy walking on the beach in the falls. Yeah. So that's a good thing about being here. And in fact, going to the beach in the fall or at the Christmas time is actually my favorite thing to do because it's less crowded. It's not as hot, and you are at the beach. So yes, you can enjoy everything here. And fall foliage or the beach.
To go back to your pumpkin item there, the first year that we moved to Virginia, we carve our pumpkins. I don't know when we did it, but apparently way too early, because like 5 days later they're covered in like black mold and they started to sag and everything. And we had never experienced that before. And so now we're wiser, we're older, It's October 27th when we're recording this, and we still haven't carved our pumpkins. Probably going to do that on this weekend, and they'll look good for Halloween that way. you got to learn the hard way.
I totally agree with you. Pumpkins here doesn't last very long, but still, you still have that feeling of fall. See the pumpkin and Halloween. I'm looking forward to it.
It's just a little different. And then it's really nice on like New Year's Day when it's 58 degrees and sunny outside and you can go do stuff. And
exactly.
You remember those cold days at RPI, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, we will have only a few days that it's really, really cold here in South Carolina.
Good. You always have something to look forward to that way.
That's right.
Inthuorn, you made it through the interview. You made it through all 10 questions, and you did so amazingly. We learned a lot today, like I said, and hopefully people are a little wiser about ordering food at a Thai restaurant from now on. And there's just a lot of info here. Centrifuge stories, it was good. So for our viewers, if you liked what you saw, and you probably did because you're still watching at the end, again, click like, subscribe, get notifications, and we will always let you know whenever we post anything new to the YouTube channel, which is really frequent. So Inthuorn, thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me here.
We had a great time. And for everybody out there, we will see you with a brand new episode of Director's Cut next week.